Hey, hi guys. Good evening to our Analyst Inc. Facebook Live. In the series of having discussions with people from the pet industry, talking about pets, talking about behavior, we have a very, very inspirational guest today. People who are in the pet space in Bangalore, people who feed streeties, anybody who's associated with the animal welfare scene will very well know who I'm talking of. I am so happy to have Bismi Anil from Dumas Bakes and Meals joining us today. Hi, Bismi, and welcome.
Hi, Anand. Good evening.
Good evening. Bismi, thank you so much for taking time out and then coming to have a chat with us here. I want to start off by asking a very simple question, right? You're synonymous with when anyone talks about Bismi Anil, the thing that flashes up is with streeties feeding and animal welfare, right? That's the thing that really starts off, right? So tell us, right? So tell us, what is it that you do, and what's the passion behind this?
Okay. Passion basically is feeding. So when we go out and feed the dogs and the reciprocation we get, the love and the way they wait and all that, that is what got it started. Uh, so the how you want to start like how I started feeding. Maybe I'll give the story behind feeding.
Yeah, because we were talking about it, right? I think there's a very, very interesting story about how your dog actually instigated this whole thing, right? So, yeah, I'm sure all of you will be interested in that.
Before that, I also have to say that when we grew up, we did not have pets, and I did not grow up as an animal lover. In fact, we were actually dog haters, because what told is dogs means rabies. So everywhere, I was the one who runs errands in my house. I'll be the one who is going out and getting things. I'll be carrying a stick which is bigger than me to hit the dogs which will come to me. Dogs means rabies. That was the thing which we were told, and we were grow up. It is basically lack of education, because everybody thought
Right,
the same way.
right.
So when we went to Bangalore, also when I saw people feeding street dogs, we were like, "Oh, wait till you get rabies. You will then." Uh, so till I got my first dog, which was in January 2010. Till I got then, I had no clue about dogs. I was not aware. I was not going to feed any dogs, or I was not going to pet anything. I was more like, dogs are off my thing. They are not mine. So even after we got the dog, for at least for 2 years till he got into some issues, we were kind of like that. We just included him in our closed circle, and that was it. He was not allowed to interact with any other dogs or any other people. Also, we kept him off the people as well, because fearing that he get some infection from people. And when he was 2 years, he started getting health issues because he was a puppy mill product, and he
Okay.
started health issues. He was very fuzzy, because we thought he is spoiled, because of which he is not eating. So he was very fuzzy, and I had to prepare like a gourmet cuisine for him, so that he will choose one and eat that and waste the rest of the things. So every day food was getting wasted, which was not a good feeling for us. Basically, it is human grade food, and getting it wasted was feeling like a sin. So I
Correct.
started cutting it off, and on the way to office, I used to throw it to one of my streetie. She was a puppy. She's a puppy, small puppy, like maybe she was 3 months, 4 months. I won't even get out of the car. I'll just take it in a plastic car. I'll throw it to her. That was my routine, and slowly started waiting for it. Like, she'll wait on the road, and if I don't throw her the packet of food, she will stand in front of the car. So we named her Signal, because she a signal kind of thing. And so we came to know that, okay, they are looking for food. It's kind of like an eye opener.
Right.
After near our home, we found a set of dogs. Anil found, actually. One was very. She had broken her hip, and she was dragging herself along the road, and she was skin and bones. So that is what actually really said, like, oh, my dog is wasting so much of food, and there are dogs on the street which is really trying to survive. And we started feeding that one dog, and in an empty compound next to my house. In that situation, she was a fighter. She was fighting. We couldn't catch her. The aim was like, I will catch her, send her off to some shelter so that she can get operated or fixed or whatever. But with that displaced hip also, she was a runner. She would drag herself so fast that even if we run, we couldn't catch. So we started early. So she was joined by her friend. That one was a very scared fellow. Then another dog which has cataract, another dog which had some stomach issues. So basically, kind of a group of sick dogs joined there. We couldn't catch any. They were friendly, except the blind one. Others were not friendly. We couldn't catch. Means basically, the blind one we caught and showed to the doctor. They were saying that nothing can be done. It is cataract. So that is the 5 dogs group. Sadly, none of them are alive now because all passed away due to age and various other issues.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
We started the feeding. So the one particular thing we keep in mind when we feed is we feed only the needy dogs.
Got
In
it.
current here in Bangalore, it is very difficult to find out the needy dogs because all are needy because of the COVID and all that. But otherwise, initially we would search and find dogs which are thin and which are having health issues, which won't fend for and feed them. That is one policy even now we try to follow as much as possible.
Got it.
So as feeding, yeah.
No, sorry. Go on. I don't want to break the flow.
So as feeding progressed, and we started with 5 dogs, which became 10 dogs, then the 15 dogs on our lane. Then we started going out on the main road, searching for dogs which need help. And it grew up to 100, 150. And then those time we started finding puppies all around all around the road. The first instinct was to pick up, bring them home, get them adopted, which worked for the first set. I was very lucky. In that first 6 months, 7 months, we were able to get some around 29, 30 dogs, puppies adopted in nearby villages and all. They are all fine even now. But then we realized that is not the way to go for it. The sterilization is the key because we can't keep on picking up puppies. We can't keep on getting them adopted because every puppy or every dog which gets adopted is a lifelong journey till the end of the life of that dog. So we kind of makes families, extended families. Whoever adopts from me, most of them becomes friends. We just become extended family, and it's a lifelong work. So you won't get time for that much. We won't get time as the number increases. And then we realized also another good way to help the animals is also to sterilize. So we went into sterilization. Along with this, we definitely when you feed and when you see other animals in distress or animals in accident, all that we have to take care. So we will do all that rescue, treatment, sterilization. So it's like a whole package now. It's not only feeding. It's actually a we have to work towards we even train the street dogs to some extent that they will not disturb people. So they kind of obey, they kind of get used to people, they kind of agree to some of the commands which we say. So the aim is like bringing that community animal concept into city life, and that is what we have been trying and kind of successful also.
Got it. So, we were talking, and then you said now currently you feed about 200 or up to 250 dogs on a regular basis, but it is through some groups of people, friends, family, like this extended circle you're talking about. But it also went up to like 300 to 350 dogs during the COVID situation, right?
In lockdown period, it even went up to 400, 450.
I see. Okay, that is because the regular people, or they didn't have access to food sources. Everybody was in their house. That really was the challenge.
So the offices closing down, basically the tech parks closing down, that had a huge impact because people in and around tech park, they come out for tea, they buy biscuits to the dogs nearby. The workers come out to eat, the helpers. Then there are people who come to work. They will also bring some food and feed the street dogs. So that was a regular thing. So if you see in and around tech parks everywhere, big working complexes, you will see dogs hanging around, and they get fed on a regular basis. The other things were outside hotels and also outside these meat shops. All these people regularly feed something or other to the dogs which are nearby. So when the shops closed, the offices closed, and people are not coming out, there was no way these dogs were getting fed. So first time, my Anil actually works near in Manyata Tech Park, so he knows about the dogs which are getting fed there through employees. So first time when we went to Manila Tech Park, it was actually heartbreaking. They had no clue. The security also had no clue because they never had to really buy and give food. Everybody contributed and they were getting fed. So even that was little difficult, and they were puppies and they were mothers. So they were running around for search, trying to search something. It was really heartbreaking. So we had around 50, 60 dogs to feed.
Got
So
it. Got it.
yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I know. So I think that is like we were discussing, right? The whole concept of now feeding the streety, the whole sterilization, then finding homes, adoption. I think that's something that I think it's a much a larger kind of area, right? And I think we need to spend a little bit more time to get into details of it. But I thought we will move from this, right? Because we know that this is the brand, right? Everybody knows you as someone who have done this, and you have done this, right? You have quit your IT job and to focus completely on this. So I want to also let the people who are watching this know that there's an other side of you, which is the entrepreneur side, and how you have made a career in the pet space. Apart from this, because not for some reason, I think we all know the reason, right? But your entrepreneurship venture has sort of taken a slight, like a back seat. But we want to try and see what is the inspiration behind that. How did that happen? We all know that your company is called Dumas Bakes and Meals, right? So we want to know, how did that start? What is the inspiration behind that?
So as Buddy is the inspiration behind the animal welfare, he is again the inspiration behind even Dumas Bakes and Meals. Mainly because he was a very fussy eater. So we had when we got him, we had no clue. We started with processed dry food to him, which he was kind of attracted to, and he would finish the dry food. So for initial years were fine. It was very convenient also to give the kibble, give off the kibble and go off to work, because we were all busy with work. He would finish the kibble and it was easy. Slowly, when his health issues started, there is this thing happened, like he started getting continuous anal sac infection. So that we couldn't figure out why it was, because we were cleaning it up, we were getting it checked. Even doctor couldn't figure out why it was happening, and it happened so regularly that his anal sac got disfigured, and doctor was saying we might need a corrective surgery there.
Oh.
So we started reaching out to people, but because it is, it was a high brand kibble, which was recommended by the vet. So we didn't even think that there would have been an issue with the food. During this time, we adopted our second child, Mishka. Straight away, she came home and she said no to kibble. She was like, no, I don't want to eat this crap. So for her, I had to cook. For her, her favorite would be chicken, and initially we used to give chicken rice. So her favorite would be that. And slowly we started introducing Buddy also to that, and we started researching on how can we make it as healthy as the kibble says it is healthy, as nutritious. We had to add the supplements, vegetables. A lot of things goes in, from turmeric to coconut oil to vegetables. A lot of things goes in. It was like kind of like a biryani, and sometimes we will not be eating vegetables, but their meal would be like a full-fledged
nutritious one.
Yeah. And the moment we started Buddy on the same, and started keeping off kibble as only as an essential thing, and slowly his anal sac infection stopped and disappeared completely. He was out of it in that last 5-6 years when he was on off kibble. and only on home cooked food. His health issue, this NSAC infection has disappeared completely.
Wow.
And also noticed both of them. Mishka actually is adopted through one of my friends. She was rescued from Karuna. And when she came home, she had a very rough coat. Unlike, she's a lab, but unlike a lab, her coat was very rough, and it was like you touch a scrubber. It was like that.
Oh.
So over time, we saw this different oil supplements and all we are adding. It helped her, and her coat also has become soft. So both have become healthy. And still, Buddy was fussy because he doesn't want to eat the same food every day. He one chicken rice, or one day if it is chicken, he is like, no, I'm bored. Get me something else. And he was liking things which are very crunchy. So one item which started off was we used to take chapati, put egg and carrot and milk and everything over, make a mix and make it over and bake it in the microwave oven and give it to him. He would happily eat it because it's very crunchy. So
Right.
that is the idea of making baking came up. We thought, okay, the same item, instead of doing microwaving, we'll make it a better treat, add better ingredients, make wholesome. And we started baking our cookies and wanted to have something soft. So we started making some breakfast bars, some things like that. And that is where the baking actually started.
Okay. So at some point while Buddy was demanding so many things of you, and you became a full-time chef for Buddy, personalized, if I can call it. And of course, Mishka also, because she just stepped in and said, okay, that's it. I just need you to cook, and you become a full-time. So when did you actually quit your job? You quit your IT job, right? You were working with an IT company and you quit your job. Was it during this time?
Yeah, it was almost everything was on the same timeline. Like I quit my job almost 4 years back now. 2016, I quit my job. So before that, because the amount of street food cooking, so during this journey, we decided initially we started feeding with the leftovers, whatever we have at home and whatever Buddy was wasting. But then it was not enough. As the number of dogs increased, it was not enough. And then we actually were thinking, anyway, we are taking the trouble of going and feeding them. Why not give them one whole nutritious meal? We don't know what crap they are getting during the day, rest of the day, because they scavenge and garbage and all that. So idea was like we will start full-fledged cooking for them. We started at home initially with one biryani, big biryani, battan and all that. And then it was not enough and it was not sustainable at home. So what we did is we took a space for rent and we started the street food cooking there. So as we were anyway doing it in big scale, people started asking for street food thing, and we also found that it would be a way to sustain our feeding. So we started with supplying street food to people, and then we were talking. Got into network. People were asking, and then I was telling about Buddy's Fasinas and how gourmet the food we prepare and all that. So that is when some other friends of mine were asking, why don't you give us also? Or my dog is also fussy, or my dog I can't prepare non-veg. So like that we started supplying even meals, pet food, and so supplying the meals as well. So along with I was still working, but it was very difficult to manage everything and the feeding. We were so night we'll be going out 2-3 hours to feed, then daytime work, then in between morning I will put the street food for cooking and go, and then evening when we come it will be done. Like once we switch off the gas, it will keep cooking in this heat. So,
Like a handi biryani types.
yeah, it was street food actually. The biryani smells so nice. When
Oh,
we were
no.
non-vegetarian, we would feel that we'll put some salt in it and we'll eat kind of thing.
But can I ask you, have you like any point has anyone like had the biryani? I don't know if you or maybe some pet parents or
No,
somebody.
street food, no. But we have pet parents. Most of the pet parents, they will, even though they are vegetarians, they will taste the treats, especially the cookies. Can you tell me? I won't give anything which I can't eat to my pet. Basically, that is one of the motto which we follow. We won't give anything to a pet or even a streetie which we can't eat.
Right.
It's all great ingredients which we follow. With the quality, we make sure that we follow that quality, that everything is human grade, everything. If you put salt and sugar, when we send out cake, people ask, can we also eat? I said, I'll tell, if you put salt, because it is non-veg cake, so with sugar it won't go good. But if you put salt, you can eat. It's eatable. You will not find any taste because there is no salt otherwise. But we follow that strictly.
Got it. We have one comment from Anusya. She says, I did taste. So she has tasted your food.
Actually, veg cookies which we make, I have also tasted. Especially once I made with the sweet potato, and it was so nice, smelly and crunchy. I also did it.
Now I'm feeling really hungry. I just finished my lunch.
Talking about all the food.
Yeah. Yeah. So sorry. Yeah, coming back, right? So I think that was a time when you were managing a lot of things, right? You were also working. You also had you for the streeties, the cooking was happening. Obviously, right? You were trying out new recipes because Buddy and Mishka, they wanted different things. You ended up doing a lot of things, right? So what else did you end up experimenting during this phase?
So baking, actually in baking, typically everybody knows about biscuits or what we call as cookies. You go, the treat for a dog is when you go to the pet store, pick up a packet of biscuits, dog biscuits, or more bones. Other than that, we don't have variety in the pet food industry actually. Right now, in last 2 years, we have seen a little bit more variety, but otherwise, when we started, it was like either you get the biscuits or you get the bones.
Right.
We want, and Buddy was actually, we used to pick up one set of biscuits which was liver cookies, and he used to like that. So that is the first thing which I recreated. Apart from that microwavable thing, the recreated thing was the biscuit cookies or the biscuits which is chicken and liver based. So over time, what we realized is that, yeah, it again started with my pets, because Mishka was not allergic to it, but Mishka was diagnosed with kidney issues. So
Okay.
when we got it diagnosed, we found that she has chronic kidney issue, which is because only one kidney. Genetically, she has only one kidney. The other kidney also is like 70 to 80% functional. So a lot of things the things which we are making, especially wheat based, she was not able to, and she would eat. She is a foodie, so she is not fussy. She would eat everything. But the problem is I cannot give her. It will cause trouble with me. So that's when I started looking at alternate to wheat. Typically baking means wheat. You can't do anything without wheat or maida. And we strictly don't use any maida in any of our products, because we know all maida's bad side. So we don't use, we use only whole wheat. And in that itself, we were not able to figure that it is not suiting Mishka. And also some of my friends' dogs were allergic to wheat. Even through our pet meals, we have different options. Like we have the rice with chicken with rice, or chicken with dalia, or chicken with oats. Like that, we have different options for the pet meals. And in that also, we found that long-term wheat can cause allergies, food allergies to the dog. It was not visible. Like some days the poop would be loose. Something very small things like, or maybe you'll find one rash here or there, or maybe many times the dog will like, I don't want, because he associated that this food is causing me some discomfort, so I don't want. So based on all these clues, we figured that we have to make something without wheat as well. So we started experimenting with the ragi based things, and ragi, it's our typical Indian staple thing. As kids itself, we get to eat ragi, and it is supposed to be very nutritional and healthy. So we started ragi based treats, and some of the dogs couldn't handle even rice or ragi or wheat. Definitely they couldn't handle. So for those dogs, special needs dogs, we started doing customized treats, which is maybe we'll use other not grains, other vegetables like sweet potato to bake the
I see.
base. So we started using an alternate flours, which are not flours like the amaranth flour or buckwheat flour, which are actually not flours, but it's all plant products, not grains, no, but can be made as a flour. So we started experimenting with different kind of flours, and now our products, most of them are customized to the dog's needs. So it's not easy. I don't just say, oh, okay, you take these cookies and go. When there is an order coming, or when there is something which people say that, okay, we have to, I want to have this some treat for my dog, but my dog cannot eat. So there's a small consultant session goes on where I will find out what is the dog, what the basically the behavior, the eating habits, activities, lot of things about the dog, and then we make the items accordingly. So we
Got it.
customize.
Got it. No, so on that, I just want to show our viewers because we have spoken so much about the treats and the food. I'm sure everybody must be thinking we want to look and see how they are. So we have a small, some pictures, I think, from different places. I'll just show this. Let me, if I can figure this out, just for just so that I can. There we go. Okay. So if you want to, if there's anything special that I think is this the cupcake?
Yeah, these are the cupcake. This is actually red cupcake.
I see. Okay. Okay. So this is the cupcake. Okay. It looks so yummy. This we're very familiar with. This is the birthday cake, right? But here it says Merry Christmas. So I think I'm guessing this is celebration. Okay. Wow, this looks really amazing. So can you tell us what is this, Bismi?
This is actually again a birthday cake. This is called.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, this cake actually we make for dogs which can't have the icing. So icing is again no sugar, no butter, nothing. It is all healthy. Vegetables and all that, but still some dogs cannot have any of that, or some dogs doesn't like, because icing is a little sticky also.
Right.
So this will come without icing and all. This actually we even have sent it to Hyderabad once.
Oh, nice.
because they wanted to celebrate, and the icing will not stay. We don't add, so icing will not stay. So because of which we we made this just get a little bit of powdered sugar on top of it to show that whiteness, but otherwise it's completely off icing. So it remains fresh for multiple days.
Got it. Got it. So this is a new one, right? So you also have cookies for cats. And this was something new to me, and I'm sure for a lot of people this is new, right? So I think this is really funny. Done with fish cookies, what's for me next? So about cats also, do you have specific products, or how, is it customizable?
It is customizable. So what happens is, when we started giving one of my friend the products like the ragi bars and the breakfast bars, one of their cats liked that whole wheat bar very much because it is soft and little bit crunchy. So he was taking it and he was eating it all for himself. And the moment we go there with the packet, he'll be sitting next to that packet. He'll not move.
But this is actually meant. This is actually meant for the dog.
Yeah, that was meant. It can be. If a cat eats chicken, the cat can eat that. Not an issue.
Right.
Most of the times wheat doesn't suit cats, so that is another problem. Food allergy. The fish cookies actually I did not make for the cat. I made for the dog only. It was for along with the birthday thing. The fish cookie based on fish we made instead of chicken and liver.
Okay.
And this is a stray cat which she's near my home, and she comes and asks for food every day. She actually her home, my backside of the house only her home. So I more like an experiment, like to see whether she will eat, because it is hard. Cookies are a little hard, but she ate. And then she went on to eat the ragi bars. She was like, okay, give me. So we also make cupcakes for many parents want to celebrate their cat's birthday, but the cake which we have is minimum half kg. So we can't, and they will not be able to finish. And most of the parents will have only single cat. So we make cupcakes, which is fish based, mostly tuna, or if the cat has a preference, we'll try to get that. And for the cat's birthday celebration, mostly it will go with cupcake with little bit of glitter and all that.
Oh, nice. So this looks like an assorted. So there, I think some cookies and so the bone-shaped ones. These are they the breakfast bars, or there's
No,
something else?
these are all different type of cookies. So this was like a gift pack kind of thing, and you
I
can
see.
see that there is red color cookie and all, right? So we mix different vegetables, like red color cookie. We mix carrot, beetroot to get that red color.
Oh, nice.
So we make different colors, especially these are for celebrations or for the Christmas kind of thing where you want multiple colored things. And we don't add food color. We don't add any kind of colors, only vegetables. So with beetroot, carrot, and spinach, ragi, and all, we manage the colors.
Oh, nice. Yeah. No. I think when festival time, we all tend to have different dishes, right? So why shouldn't our dogs and cats have?
Exactly.
So this is it's a cupcake with a
carrot and a cookie on top.
So this is carrot based, is it? Like a carrot? Ah, nice. Wow, looks yummy. So this is at our boarding place. We had we were celebrating the dogs that were staying with us. We had to celebrate their birthday, and then we ordered it. And you can see these two. This is, I think, half a second, maybe less than that, before we took the photo. Before and after, we should have. Unfortunately, we don't have. They demolished this in like less than, I think, 20 or 30 seconds. Yeah.
I have actually a lot of pictures, but I couldn't send it because today I was busy with a little bit of adoption thing, and I got held up there. So even yesterday, I sent cake to my friend's dog, and he was just sitting next to it, protecting. And he was like, "No one is going to eat this. This is all mine." Tell us that they go crazy with our cakes and bakes, so it's very, humbling actually.
Yeah. No. I think we also are getting a lot of comments. Also, if you see, there's somebody Mukt is saying, he's saying yum and beautiful, and then he's saying, damn, I am vegan. So I'm sure Mukt, if he had a chance, he would have had that. We have a question actually before we go, right? So I think somebody's saying, Mahalakshmi says, my streeties go crazy with the food, right? Saroja says, breakfast bars are very yummy, says Bruno the pug. I'm sure, Saroja, you have also tasted it. Let's be truthful about it. I would have. So, we have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Bismi, before we can take the question.
I was going to tell about the question only.
Okay. So Shobit is saying, do these cakes have milk or milk products in them?
As far as possible, we don't use, but for the white icing, we use a little bit of milk. But again, I ask the parents if they are allergic or if they have any lactose intolerance, then we will not use the milk. Then milk products for cat cakes. So sometimes we get requests for cat birthday cake. So there is one particular cake which we make, which has cheese as one of the decoration item. But that is kind of optional. We make the eye of the cat. So in that year we use cheese to decorate. So it's again, it's all.
Okay, so these are all customizable, right? We can change it according to the pet's preference and all that. So on that note, I want to know, right? I think we did speak about how it started and all that, but there has to be something, right? What is the secret sauce that Dumas Bakes and Meals has? Right? One is, I know, right? You have really put in an effort in trying to understand how it can benefit the health, and that's how it really started, right? Basically, it started off with trying to improve the health, solve some problems. You found out nutrition is there. You did a lot of research, and actually, and I don't know whether I should call it fortunate or unfortunate, but Buddy and Mishka, they turned out either they had great food or they also became your guinea pigs in testing different products. But that was one part of it. But what else is there in terms of the ingredients itself, right? I think, can we touch upon that a little bit? You did say that it's customizable, but apart from that, what are the ingredients? These are, I'm given to understand, human grade ingredients that you're using.
Yeah, so we use only human grade ingredients. So I try to source as much as possible from the best in the industry. Like chicken, we get from Nandus because this is antibiotic free and hormone free and all that. So most of the chicken and chicken byproducts come from them. So one good thing is we were non-vegetarians earlier. So we so when we are eating, we know, right, whether it is good or not. So, and even Buddy was like is a fussy eater. So because of him, if I particularly source chicken from one other place, some of the places he doesn't like. So he doesn't eat, he doesn't even touch. For us, we don't see much of a difference, but still he wouldn't eat. So we were able to reject based on his preference. Plus, then we were initially non-vegetarian, so we were able to find out based on our tasting also that this cannot be. This is not as good as the item which we got from the other vendor. So we were able to choose the best vendors. Or I can't say best, but at least the better vendors that whatever is available in Bangalore, and we try to do as much organic as possible. Coconut oil actually, before COVID times, it comes from Kerala. My in-laws actually they have coconut and they prepare coconut oil. They
Oh,
send it
nice.
so it used to come from Kerala. So the turmeric actually I get it from my friend's farm. She has a farm in organic farm in Bandipur. So every March it comes and we get the consignment based on that. So we try to get as much as possible, as much organic and as fresh. So I don't store items, even though we have the facility to store much, but we don't store even chicken. We don't store much. We try to get it daily or maximum we store for a day because Mondays there is no supply. So the ingredients are almost always fresh. 90% it is fresh, and it is as much as possible it's organic and healthy. So products are also freshly produced. I don't keep anything. We don't. So if sometimes people ask me in the evening like can I send food for the pet? I can't because everything is over, and whatever is left over, everything goes for my streeties. So along with that.
Got it. So this is basically, everything is freshly cooked, right? So anybody who's getting the meals this is all freshly. So there are no preservatives, absolutely, that is added into this, right? Okay. So
interestingly acts like kind of a preservative.
Sorry, which one with me?
Coconut oil and turmeric.
Coconut oil and turmeric. Okay. That's a pro tip for anyone who's watching out there. Coconut oil, but you have to get it from God's own country. I think that's where the secret is. But I think seriously, I think I have seen the difference, right? When we go to Kerala, the coconut oil is very different from what we get that is manufactured, and what we get in different forms. There used to be a time when we used to get coconut oil from friends who are coming in, and then they bring the coconut oil, and they tasted very, very different, and they were very, very good for sure, right? I agree with that. So also the other thing I'm also given to understand is that you also have like a really large kitchen now, and then you have separate cooks for these different things, right? For streeties food cooking, you have a different cook, and for the pet meals, you have a different. So just tell us about it. That it does mean that streeties to have one cook is really a privilege, right? And I think the streeties are lucky.
In fact, actually, they have two cooks now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was always trying to keep my feeding at a number of 100 to 150 as much as possible, because as it becomes bigger and bigger, it is not sustainable financially, and also going and feeding that many dogs. It takes 3 hours, 4 hours to finish. And actually, I have many passionate friends who takes the trouble of mixing the food with water or soup, add curd, add a lot more items with the food they prepare, and painstakingly they go and feed even in bowls. I don't do that much because it's too difficult for me.
Okay.
Initially we used to do, but then when the number and distance increases,
Yeah.
it's difficult. But there are dedicated people, a lot of dedicated people who do that.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. What we try to do is we try to make it as nutritious as possible. So we add liver, not only the chicken carcass we do, we add liver, we add fat. Sometimes we add chicken skin. And we tried vegetables also, but they're not very much into vegetables. Go away with vegetables. We don't want. We just want the non-veg. Try to separate the rice and they try to finish off the piece as much as possible. So for streeties, the kitchen we rented out was for streeties, and we started cooking for them. And then when I get into pet food, and when it was not manageable at my home, we started using, because it's a house, so we started using one of the rooms for pet food cooking. So pet food, separate kitchen, separate gas, separate fridge, everything is separate, so that all the items doesn't get mingled. Items are totally different. So street food is separate, so pet food is separate, and bakes is again separate. Bakes right now happens at my home itself, because bakes needs a lot of customization than the street food, because the ingredients are much more. So bakes happens under my supervision every day. The other two I manage through camera and visit once in a while.
Got it. So I just have. Sorry. I didn't mean to.
And my cooks are kind of stable now. So we tend to retain the same cooks so that the consistency and everything remains same.
True. I have a slightly offbeat question. I want to also know the designs that you do for the cupcakes and the cakes and all that. Who does that? Is it your idea? Who is the brain behind that?
Design comes from me. So initially when we started, no, it's actually Google, I should say. But then I Google, and then when I find something, I customize it. So we have designs available in. So see, basically when we started, the cake journey started because one of my friends, Sohini, she was telling she wanted to order a cake for her pet's birthday, and she had adopted second pet through me. And first one was there, and so she wanted to have a birthday cake for that dog, that cocker spaniel. His name is Pluto. So the only pet bakery available at that time was in Malleshwaram, Chindana's pup cake, and somehow it did not work out. We couldn't get it, or the transport was an issue, or something was an issue, so it did not work out. And so she was trying to search something in Whitefield, which is my area. So we got into the idea that why we are anyway making the cakes and all that stuff, why don't we bake a cake? And that is the first cake which we made, and that design was like one hexagonal cake and another hexagonal cake on top of it. So we named it Pluto cake.
Okay.
So still that name in the website also, the name is like Pluto cake. So that was just that design was Anil's design actually, and we had only this hexagon mold and we made it. Then we started procuring different kind of shapes of molds, like circle, rose, bone, and all that. So over time I got bored with the conventional design. So Google, and people started asking, can you make a cake which looks like my pet, or can you put a photo print of the pet's face on the cake? So photo printing we don't do, mainly because it is like cutting your pet. So I find a little uncomfortable with that. So photo printing we do, but we make look-alike cakes. Like if you have a Shih Tzu, we make a Shih Tzu looking cake, or a Cocker Spaniel looking cake, a lab looking cake. And so look-alike cakes we make, and sometimes it's based on theme. Like one of my friend Kaveri, she has 6 dogs and they're all naughty. So I wanted to depict that naughtiness in one of the cakes. So I was searching for recipes. Then I found a cake which is like the dogs are sitting on mud and pulling out mud all over. One is sitting and looking somewhere. So we made something similar to. So that experiment keeps on going.
Okay, Bismi, we have one question here about the oils, right? So, AK Mittal says, do you use cold pressed oils or solvent extracted hydrogenated oils? Does it make any difference to pet from health point of view?
I use cold press. Basically, what we get, the coconut oil which we get from Kerala is cold press, and it's traditional actually. That chucky pressed thing, because that is what we have in our native. I can't tell whether that makes a big difference, but we know that cold press oils are much better. So we, for humans itself, that is recommended. So we pass on the same health benefits to the pets. Definitely, the kind of oil makes a difference. Instead of vegetable oil and instead of dalda or anything like that, coconut oil and olive oil works much better for their coat and even for their digestive system. So these cold press oils definitely make a difference.
Got it. Got it. So I think we have spoken so much. I think we have. I'm very hungry, right? So, how do we order? Bismi, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar. A lot of people who want to order. Where can we order? Do you have delivery? Can we drop it off? How does this work? Just let us know.
Yeah, so over time we have built up the network of delivery, and so we do have delivery all across Bangalore. In Whitefield it happens in the evening, and every other place in Bangalore it happens in the morning. So early morning, delivery boys come pick up the food which was prepared and kept, and deliver it to the individual homes. And same in the evening. What was the other thing which you asked? Delivery and
So anywhere, yeah.
how to order? We have our website. Website is functioning, so you can order through website. The only catch in the website is that it doesn't allow certain areas, but you can put in one area, and we deliver most of the areas now. And we are having these other delivery mechanisms of Dunzo and Swiggy and all that is also a blessing. So I'm able to send it all across Bangalore now. Earlier we used to restrict within like 50-kilometer circle from Whitefield, but now anywhere, if any of these delivery partners help us, we are able to deliver. Of course, if the distance is more, there will be a delivery charge, but within our small circle, delivery is free of cost. You can order online. Ordering online option is available in the website. But if you have questions and you want to further customize, you can always WhatsApp me at my number, and we can take it forward from there.
Right. So for everybody watching, the website is here, right? It's running there. So it's called dumasbakesandmeals.com. You can go there. You can you can order. You can choose. There are we have put up something, right? There's also choose. That's what I realized. I didn't know that they were choose, but I realized when I was going through the site that there are choose, and that's a fantastic option for especially teething puppies. Instead of giving the synthetic bones, which is available, I think this is definitely a much better option.
So I want to use this opportunity since you have mentioned choose. So chewing is something a dog tries to do for when it is teething. They'll be trying to do chewing. Otherwise, it is a very much relaxing activity. It is also a dental cleaning activity for chewing. So we don't have much options available other than the commercially processed bones, which is very harmful. The rawhide bones are very harmful for the dogs. Even when I started with my pets, bakes and meals and everything, we were still buying the commercial rawhide bones because Buddy used to love that like anything. I give one, he will actually he'll dance when I give him the rawhide bone, and he'll dance for 2-3 minutes, then go to one corner and sit quietly and won't even move till he finishes that. So we used to even buy, buy in bulk and keep at home, so that whenever he is stressed or whenever we feel like, or regularly, it was like almost like once in 2-3 days we used to give him. And what happened is once he had this bone and then he started puking. We had to get him hospitalized, and he had to be on drips for 2-3 days. And which is when we found out we started looking at why this. Because except from home food, he had only had this outside thing as a rawhide bone. So you can Google up rawhide bones issues, then you will come up with a documentary where how it is being made, the bleach and the process which have, it's actually the skin of the animals, especially cows, and how they bleach and process it to make it harder and make it white, and so that actually reveals how harmful it is. It is basically kind of a poison. So even if you don't give any chews, try to avoid the giving the rawhide bones because it's very dangerous.
Right.
we started looking at the alternate options of having the chews. We found out this mutton paya, which is more like a joint and cartilage. It is filled with glucosamine. It is very good for hip issues, dogs with hip issues. So Mishka has a very bad hip. She has a very severe hip dysplasia. So she can't have anything normal. Basically, anything we give her, she's already fat, and anything we give her will just make her put on weight. Right. So this mutton paya is something which we found that it will allow her to chew, get her dental cleaned, as well as it will. It is also healthy. It is good for her joints. So there are many natural bones and dehydrated bones and grilled bones and these kind of things available. So as much as possible, avoid rawhide bones and try to resort to natural ones.
Right. No, I completely agree on this. I think this is much needed, especially the chew bones. We have seen a lot of dogs that have had a lot of problems when using the rawhide, which is commercially available, right? So guys, I think that is a definitely another. I mean, it's a life-saving thing to go in with natural one. I see this, right? I definitely want to recommend because we also do. We offer puppy training services, and this is one of the challenges that we constantly get is teething. What do we do? Teething. What do we do? Right. So we would try and give them options, but I did not know till I went on your site. I did not know that you had these, but now I will tell people because we were not sure. I mean, we were sure that we didn't want to recommend the rawhide, but we didn't have an alternate. So we would try and say, okay, can we try something? So we would say, okay, you can give some of the not the synthetic bones, but you have toys, right? And then you stuff it with something such as instead of biting, the dog is actually licking, but the biting thing really doesn't get solved. So I think this is definitely a good option to go with. So I think we have a few questions. I think maybe we've also answered. Do you deliver to Hyderabad? I think you do, right? I think based on
we do. But okay. Not all items, especially cakes only. That cookie cake we can deliver to Hyderabad, but other cakes with icings we cannot. But most of the treats we can deliver. So we have it stays fresh for. Fresh even outside even for 2-3 days, and if you freeze it, it stays fresh forever. That's what we
got it. Got it. So you guys can reach out to Bismi either on the site or something. I think Mittal also has which all cities do you deliver the bake. I think maybe Bismi will be able to tell you based on where you are and what can be, what cannot be, because it is made to order, right? So it is all fresh. So you guys want to get in touch with Bismi to kind of understand that. So Bismi, moving on, I think one of the things that we have discussed is how things have gone. I mean, as a brand, you're recognized. I mean, apart from the NGO work that you do, I think that is really given you a lot of. I'm sure it has given you a lot of personal satisfaction also in what you do. You quit a corporate job to do this, to follow your passion, right? So I want to know what are the future plans for Dumma Bakes and Meals, and any advice that you have for people who are thinking on the cusp of saying, I'm tired of my corporate job. I don't want to do this 9 to 5. Can I do something in the pet space? Is it for everyone? First of all, is it for everyone? Can anyone and everyone just jump into the pet space?
Okay, first I'll answer that the future plans of Dumas. So we want to spread. We want to spread not only in Bangalore. We want to spread across India or wherever possible, so that we can pass on the goodness or whatever we have found. We have journey, the goodness, what the health, nutrition part, which we can pass on. So we want to spread it across, whether it is in the form of bakes or meals. We are doing actually experiments even on the meals part, so that the meals can stay a little bit more. I had made some baked meals. Some of my customer dogs have loved it. So we are doing experiments to make it last longer, and also to spread. And mainly one of the reasons is my passion is baking. I'm not a human cook, but I like to cook for dogs, because you get the instant. It is yes or no. There is nothing
Correct.
in between, no polite.
Correct.
There is no formal thing. I'll eat or I'll not eat.
Right.
You get feedback basically based on your experiments on what you can do.
Right.
So that we want to expand and we want to reach out, and we are seeing more and more dogs with tumor and cancer. And even we didn't know initially. I didn't know even like say 2 years back, I did not know a cancer dog should not be given carbs. The carbs actually feed to cancer, and that will aggravate it. That I did not know until I learned upon it, or some posts came up and all that. Then we researched more over it, and we found that okay, we are actually killing the dog by giving them carbs based food if the dog has cancer or tumor property. And unfortunately, or maybe the breeding part of it is causing it, but unfortunately we are finding more and more dogs with kidney issues, heart issues, tumors, and all that, and in young dogs. So food plays a bigger part. Food is
Correct.
actually medicine, right? As it is said, food is medicine. So the proper food plays an actual part, and that is where I want to spread whatever knowledge and whatever information and whatever we make to more and more dogs, and cats, so that they get to live long, healthy life. And having said that, again, I we do most it basically we do this basically to support our animal welfare first. So the more
Absolutely.
we expand in terms of bakes and meals, the more we expand as a business, the animal welfare part also gets expanded. So we will be able to in future. I always wanted to start a shelter for old age dogs, because we had rescued a dog, 13 years old. She was discarded by breeder. She was bred like anything, because of which her teeth were like almost hitting the ground. And when we found her, she was blind. She was deaf. Actually, deafness was caused because the breeder was not taking care of the ears, not because
Oh.
of the other thing. Because so she was blind, deaf. Then she had kidney issues, she had heart issues, but with that, she had a highly spirited nature. She was like, "I'm yours. You take me." She was with that blindness and deafness. She would walk without leash in any dog. She just
Oh,
needed
wow.
smell. Her name was Helen. She was with us for 1 year, and actually, her good spirit changed the entire perspective of an entire community which I live in, because they came and met, and they were really seeing, okay, this is how bad a dog can be treated, and still how better the dog spirit can be. She was so gentle. She gelled with everyone. We had a real nice 1 year with her, and because of her uh, kidney issue, she was on drips, and then heart gave away, and that is how she uh, passed away. So that time I learned more about all these organs. Everything is interlinked. All the issues. One issue comes, then your other organ also. Typically, right? It all works supporting each other, and when one
True.
has a problem, the other organ also starts failing long term. So food is something very critical, where we have to make sure that the dog get proper nutrition, proper food throughout the life. And same way, we will be able to, because we are able to expand the business, we'll be able to cater more into this.
Absolutely.
So second question was, how someone get into it? Not easy.
Yeah.
You need
So
good
no, I just want to add one point here, right? So I think that itself more or less answered the question, right? So I think the way how passionately you're talking about how you want to create a sustainable, system, right? But this is not a business for you, right? This what you're doing over here is just that to reach to your bigger goal, which is basically to do the sanctuary for older dogs, abandoned dogs, and this Helen, one dog, she kind of changed a lot of things, right? About how people look
actually,
at it.
right. She actually changed the perspective of me about older dogs as well. Because till then, even I was skeptical about getting an older dogs. The typical perception was older dogs cannot be trained. But the moment she came in, and my house, I was in an apartment at that time, and our house is packed with furniture and everything. She just took 2 rounds, and she found where the furnitures are and everything. And she managed to, third day onwards, she managed to walk on her own without knocking into any furniture or anything. And I did not do anything. I just um, uh, kept food in one place, and she was there. She figured out by herself. The every day was with her was a learning. Actually, she was kind of wanted one of the bed which was there for Buddy and Mishka. So she kind of taught them that this is my bed. You are not welcome to stay here. To convey that message, she kept her space. First 2 3 days she played with Mishka and Buddy and everything, and then she was like, "Okay, this is how I am going to be. You guys not disturb me." So that was a that she just settled herself in. We learned from her.
Got it.
And after that, actually, I was able to get many more older dogs home. Even last year, I had an older dog who was abandoned near my house. We were able to manage. So the older dogs are as fun as puppies or younger dogs. That's what she taught us.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, it's a very heartwarming story. Uh, so Vismi, then, what is your advice? I know a lot of people look at the pet space as saying, okay, I want to do something, right? I love dogs, but I want to do something. And on the other side, there is also people who are looking at it from a purely business perspective. But what is it, right? What is your take on this? Is it easy to enter into the pet space? Should people be entering into the pet space? I think those are the basic questions.
Yeah, people should be entering into the pet space, but not for making money. We always have this debate about ethical and non-ethical breeders. So in that breeder, people say that ethical breeders actually doesn't make any money because they have to do so much work and pumping so much money into making sure that the dog is having a proper life before she gives birth and they can get the puppies. So it's the same. You have to have passion. You can't just enter into it just for money. A simple thing. We think that when we most of the times the people who start about and looking into entering this pet food or pet industry starts with dog walking. Dog walking looks so simple from outside. You just come, put the dog on leash, walk, take him across the street or wherever, and pick up the poop or don't pick up the poop. Let the dog relieve himself for 20 minutes, come back. But it's not that simple, right? If my dog, my Poppins Indy has to be taken, you have to watch out for what is coming his way because he doesn't like male dogs. He doesn't like cats. So if there is a cat, he would just leave your hand and run away and try to chase the cat. He doesn't like certain objects. So it's a whole lot of observation which you have to make before you even take the dog for a walk. A simple thing as a dog walk, you have to observe the dog, you have to know the dog's history a bit. You have to know how the dog will behave to certain items. It's not always stagnant. It's a dynamic world out there when you go for a walk. So unless you understand the whole perspective of walking, it is going to be 90 or maybe say 90% of the time there won't be an incident, but then one incident will happen where the dogs run away and the dog gets lost. That's it.
Right.
End of your career. So this is not something easy. Even pet food, I took it as easy. I was like, oh, what do we have to make? I have to make chicken rice for Buddy with some supplements on it. I'll make 2 times so that I can send it to someone else also. But as you send it, then we learn. Right? Oh no, it is not simple. The same chicken rice which Buddy eat, other one might not eat. Someone wants more rice, someone wants more chicken, someone wants liver, someone doesn't like turmeric. So there are a lot of nuances in it. So unless you put all your effort into it and try to understand what happens, it is not easy. There are a lot of wonderful opportunities in pet industry. A lot of people should come in because more and more people come in, more and more understanding about dogs are actually something which we have taken very granted for. Very easy. We think, "Oh, okay, bring a dog, give some food, that's it." It's not as simple as that anymore.
Right.
In our apartment dwelling spaces, no, you can't leave the dog open and the dog can do whatever they want and all that. So there are a lot of constraints on their dog's behavior. So because of which we have to put in our own effort in understanding the dog and provide the best life for them.
Right. No, I agree. I think because we do dog walking, and it's not that we have covered all the cities. And I used to do dog walking almost 5, 6 years back. We were walking a good number of dogs. We were walking close to about 200 dogs every single day. But we closed that business down because we realized that we didn't have the secret sauce was missing. The people who are walking dogs, the secret sauce was missing. We relaunched that now with pet lovers. And I think as professionals in the space, I think we need to realize when we are doing it as a business and when it is a passion, right? And we shouldn't allow those. Like you were saying that you started boarding, but you said boarding and this clashes, and you do not want to do, right? I think that those are calls that we as professionals should be able to take, right? Because if the business side of it comes, then I think the passion sort of goes away, and benefit or not benefit, actually then it goes back to the pets, right? So yeah,
definitely it is not business. If the business side of it gets priority, it doesn't work out, especially in the pet industry, because we are living more in almost everywhere. It is if the passion, if you follow the passion, the business and money follows.
absolutely.
So yeah, I had boarding at a time. I had started because one of my friend wanted to keep her dog, and they were very good friends with my dogs. So I was like, okay, not boarding, but I will keep the dog. We'll keep the dog with us. So it was success. So we tasting the success, we thought, okay, we will do more and more. And I started keeping. And at one point of time, I even had 7 dogs in my house because of some planning overlap. But it was fun, but it was difficult, extremely difficult. We were blessed to have a garden, so we didn't have to take the dogs out for pooping and all the time. We could just take for the walks, but it was difficult to manage. And each dog comes with their own personality, right? Each animal comes with their own personality. So one cup doesn't fit all. So because which I decided that. And another thing is, long term when the dog is with you, it's difficult to part with the dog because they become
Yeah.
There are many aspects. Boarding is another art which you have to do based on the dogs, the pets need. Otherwise,
Right.
it's going to succeed.
Right.
You have to realize what is your passion. Like I have tried. Walking is not something as a business I have tried, but I have tried dog walking just to help some friends. I have tried boarding. Then our animal welfare whole thing goes in. Then we have tried. I have even tried consulting. Initially we were like, oh, okay, the people are not understanding dog behavior, so we should give them guidance. Especially when it is a puppy, we were trying to give them guidance on behavior. So when you get into each area of that, that is when you realize that it is not. You can't just Google and go and tell that, okay, this is why your puppy is behaving like that, and this is why your dog is not eating this. We can't do that. We have to actually do deep dive.
Right.
So any part of the pet industry, if you are entering, and unless you have passion to do deep diving, it is not going to work out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I agree with most of it, because I resonate with the things that that you say. We have been doing this for about 10 years now, and yet there are many times that I don't know, right? Like behavior consulting we do. There are many cases that come to me and I don't, right? Because I've not come across, and then so we'll say, okay, we'll go with best effort basis. We'll try and see, and then we will go step by step, because it's just impossible to know everything. I feel I have only known maybe 20% of what is there. I still have a lot more to go. But yeah. So I think thank you so much, Bismi. I think we have actually in this I lost
one point.
Sure.
This I don't know if you remember or something, but some 7, I think, 2013 or sometime during that time frame, you had conducted an event in Vishal Farms, and we had conducted for so that was our actual first dog outing. We came with Buddy, and I had my rescue puppy also there, and through one family which came in that. That was my first rescue puppy. He was thrown in front of my car, and I thought I hurt him, and I brought him home and all that. So we came, and we met a family there, and that is how my first adoption actually happened. And we actually started looking forward to many more events like that, but unfortunately for next 2-3 years nothing happened.
Yeah.
But had been an inspiration because that day actually Buddy even won third prize in some of the events there. But that day more like an eye opener where we realized okay, dogs can do this. You had a pool and we were kind of like into that water most of the time. So it was fun. It was really fun even that time. So
Yeah.
that actually pulled us more into this dog world, I should say. And
Oh,
thank you for
got
that.
it. It is. They say that it is a small world. I think dog world or the pet this one is even more a smaller world, right? I kept
Yeah.
thinking, Buddy. I mean, I can remember dogs' name for some weird reason. I can remember many dogs' name, and I've come across many dogs and cats. People names I'm not so great with, to be honest. I kept thinking. So now I do connect, right? So Vishal Farms, yeah. I now I'm able to connect. Yeah, we wanted to do that. I think the whole idea was we wanted to get the pets out and we wanted to have some games out because at that point 7 8 years back I don't think we had too many opportunities. Thankfully now we do have quite a few opportunities for people to go out. There are cafes and there are, I think now dog park is there, so many opportunities are there. So as long as the pets are getting their time out, I think it's all right. um,
Yeah, it was a very good thing. I am sure that people might have taken inspiration from that and went ahead and opened the dog parks later.
but it's okay. I mean, as long as the pets are getting benefited, it doesn't matter, right? I'm sure we also saw somewhere, and then we started this events. But I'm glad, Vismi. I'm glad that we could help with one the first adoption or the first family that you connected. That's a big thing, right? I'm actually doing cartwheels in my head right now. So
Yeah,
uh,
actually, that had not happened. I don't know if I would have even picked up my second set of litter because that was we had him for less than a month. We had him. He was about 2.5 months or 2 months, so we could get him vaccinated. And we said unless you are the puppy is vaccinated, don't bring the puppy. So we
yeah.
could get him vaccinated and we brought him there. And we met another one family who works in the farm. And then later, after a week, we gave him to them.
Oh, nice. Maybe this is a maybe this is a it's some kind of a hint that maybe we should start doing events again. If while events, if we can get more puppies adopted, even if one puppy per event, I think it's still a big deal. I feel right.
Yeah, see, even in that event, that is one place where we got introduced into homemade cookies and cakes. Actually, Chintana's cakes were there. So next time I ordered. No, I did not order. My friend ordered from there. So we were like, oh, okay, this is also available. I didn't order because Buddy was first and I was not sure he will eat or not. I have missed out that time.
But he had other plans for you. He wanted you to do
Yeah,
something much bigger.
yeah, we were actually lucky to have him because he was a fussy eater. He was a good tester. Mishka.
Great. Bismi, actually, in this discussion, I completely lost track of time. I think it was great
Yeah.
discussion. We overshoot by almost about 10, 12 minutes. But I mean, I have to thank you for your time. I know you're really busy with the adoptions and running the food and feeding the streeties. I know and it was very difficult for you to give time out, but thank you so much. I think it really, the whole idea was we wanted to show people, the other side of you, right? The one that most people don't know, and why the business is started and what is the business really funding, right? For the bigger dream of making things a lot more for abandoned dogs, for the streeties and for the ABC programs and all kinds of things. So thank you so much. I am super inspired. I want to go back and do something, but before that, maybe I'll have something to eat. But thank you so very much for joining us and sharing your thoughts and views with me. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Bye bye then.
Bye.